Hey guys, MEP guy here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create plumbing riser diagrams. We're going to take a model we created on the first floor, we're going to manipulate that model, we're going to copy it up to multiple floor plans, and then we're going to connect all of our piping into our sanitary, water, and vent risers, and we're going to make those into a riser diagram. We're going to tag all of our piping and tag our fixtures, and I'm going to show you a bunch of tips and tricks along the way. So in a recent video I showed you guys how to model this core restroom, and I thought it would be a good idea to copy this up to multiple levels and show you guys how to connect all the sanitary and vent lines to create basically a multi-story plumbing system, but also create some plumbing risers for you guys. So we're going to actually just focus on the urinals and water closets for this, and this might be a multiple part series. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually use my section box. So I'm going to use this reveal hidden elements down here, and my section box was hiding, so I had to use that. So we're just going to focus on the things that matter for this model. I'm going to turn that back off, and I'm actually going to turn my link on because I had turned that off. So I'm going to go ahead and go to VV and turn on the architectural background. And right now you can see that it's still cutting that off, so we have to stretch this section box. Maybe we just want to remove the section box. Well, I'm just going to select that and move this up, and now we're doing some good stuff. So we have multiple levels, 6 levels, and I'm just going to copy everything up. But before I do that, I have to clean some things up. So the first thing I'm going to clean up is this vent pipe right here. I'm not going to need that when I copy it up to multiple levels, so we're just going to delete that. We're going to go into this fitting right here, and we're going to select it and just click this little minus button, and it'll change it into an elbow. And for this, I'm going to delete this elbow, and you guys are going to see why in a second, because when we copy this up to multiple levels, we want to reconnect it. Just gonna delete this little cap right here, and then also we want to do the same thing for our sanitary line, so we're just gonna delete that piece. And for our water line, it's okay right here to connect, but again, since this is going to be copied up, we have to delete that section of piping, and we also have to delete this section of piping. So now we're starting to look good. I think that when we copy this up, we're going to be able to copy or connect into all these risers. So I want to show you guys a few tips about moving pipes up through buildings. So there's a couple ways you can do that. Now the first way you can do it is if you know the elevation of your building, if you know what elevation your roof level is, you could just click on the piece of pipe that you want to bring up, and I can actually click on the elevation right here. And I could set that to, let's say, I don't know, since my building is probably 60 feet tall, I'm going to set it to 62 feet and hit enter. And what that will do is it will jump it up to the top of my building because I knew it was 62 feet. Okay, so that's great, and that method works really well, but let's say we don't know the elevation of our roof. So what we can also do is we can select the piece of pipe, and then under reference level we can actually change this to any level we want. We actually didn't create the levels inside our model, so let me do that real quick. So we only had level 1 and level 2 inside our model, so we actually have to copy these and make them inside our model. So I'm just going to use the copy command, and I'm just going to use copy, and we're just going to copy these up just like this, just like that. And mechanical 7 is actually going to be my roof plan, so I'm going to actually select that, and we're just going to rename that roof. We could also rename it to anything we want. Right now it's saying mechanical because that was the standard, but you guys get the idea, so I just wanted to show you that real quick. So now we're back in our 3D view, and so this time when I select the piece of pipe, under reference level, you can see the drop down. Now there's all those levels that I created inside my own model. So now I can just select roof, and it's actually going to say the middle elevation is at negative 61 feet. So since I want my vent to maybe terminate 2 feet above the roof, I'm just going to enter 2 feet for the middle elevation and hit apply. And essentially that's going to do the same thing that I did before, only it used the roof as its reference. So I can do that also for my vent piping. I can take it right here, and for that top it's at 15 right now. You can see middle elevation is 15. So I can set the last level maybe to be my last level right here, and maybe I'll set that elevation to 9 feet and hit apply. Now that time you can see that it jumped the whole piece of pipe up, but that's okay. I can just click on that and just change this to anything I want, but I'm gonna go ahead and use another method for you guys. Now we can also use the align command to get it to a piece that we already know exists in the model. So I'm going to hit the align button by going to modify, align, and we're going to align it to this piece right here, which is our vent at the first floor. So we're going to select this piece right there, and then we're going to align the bottom of the piece to that piece. And as you can see, it now pulled that whole piece of pipe down here, and so now we can connect it. So I just wanted to show you guys a couple techniques. You can obviously do this in a section view as well, but and you can just pull the pipe. So let me also show you that method too. So we have our water piping right here, so I'll select that, and we can just pull this up to the top. But the pulling method isn't the greatest because it doesn't stay, you got to be careful and make sure that it stays straight. So we're going to hold the shift button down, and we're just going to drag it to about the right spot right here. So when you're doing that, just make sure you use hold shift while you drag. So those are three little techniques for getting pipe through your building. Now we essentially have the risers. We have our waste riser right here, we have our vent riser right here, and we have our water riser right here. Now one thing I do notice is that the vent is a little high. I don't really need it to be that high, because when the contractors install it, they're not going to want to put it all the way up in the ceiling. So I'm going to actually bring that down to 6 feet. I'm just going to type in 6 right there, and it's going to jump down right there. So we have all of our fixtures and our piping set up correctly. So now all we have to do is select everything and copy it to multiple levels. So let's go ahead and do that. So to select this little piping network, all we're going to do is we're just going to tab into it. So I'm going to hit tab until everything is selected, and then we're just going to click. So we have all of our piping and fixtures, our MEP fixtures selected. As you can see, we don't have the architect's fixtures selected, but that's totally fine because they already exist up here. So now that we have it selected, all we have to do, this is the best method, we just copy it to the clipboard. And let me just zoom out for you guys so you can see it. So once we have it copied to the clipboard, it's actually copying to the first floor. Okay, so now we just go to paste and hit this drop down, and we're just going to paste it aligned to selected levels. And all the levels that we recently created are showing up, so we're going to need to paste it to level 2 through level 6. We don't need it on the roof, so I'm just going to hold shift, and it's going to paste to all of these new levels. So I'm going to hit OK, and as you can see, Revit has pasted our plumbing fixtures up throughout our building so we can use it for our riser. So the last thing for us to do is just go ahead and connect all of these sections to our main risers, our sanitary, our vent, and our water riser. So we're just going to hit escape here, and I'm going to select one of the risers, maybe the sanitary since it's so high up, and I'm just going to hold shift, and we're going to orbit around that piece of pipe just so we can see things a little better. So maybe that'd be right there. So now I'm just going to trim, use the trim extend command, and we're going to trim our pieces into our sanitary waste riser. Now I can't really see it too well. It's kind of, you know, these other pieces are behind it, so maybe I can just temporarily hide the other pieces. So I'm going to select this piece, hold control, select this vent piece over here, and I'm just going to temporarily hide this in the view. So I'm going to click on temporary hide, and we're just going to temporarily hide the elements. And so now I can get a nice view of this sanitary pipe so I can connect it. So we're going to use this trim extend multiple, and we're just going to select that. We're going to select our main riser, and it doesn't really matter where you select it, so I can select it anywhere on this pipe, and then I can just click the pipe that I want to trim it to. And Revit creates the sanitary tee, and everything looks great. Now you'll notice that when I go to the second one, it's supposed to work, but for some reason it doesn't work all the time. So I'm going to actually escape, hit Control Z, and this one worked. And this time we're just going to use the trim extend single element, and I'm just going to select my piece that I want to go to and select that piece, and we're just going to do it like that throughout the whole building. So I'm going to do this, select this piece, and you guys get the idea. So I'm just going to finish this up real quick. So I'm at my last piece at the first floor, so I'm going to select this piece right here and trim that one into it. And now I have all of my sanitary lines connected into my main sanitary riser throughout the floors. So I'm going to do the same thing for the vent and the water lines. So this time maybe I want to deselect my sanitary piece, so I can just go ahead and zoom out, and I'm just going to use a crossing selection just like this. And I actually want to hide this element. I'm going to hit temporary hide isolate, and we're going to reset, and now all my other pieces come back. I'm going to right click and say select previous, and now I can hide these elements. And when I zoom in, you'll see that now I have my vent piping and my water piping displayed, and I can use the trim extend commands for these and just start trimming those at each floor level, just like that. So I'm going to do a couple more for you guys. So trim the vents together, trim the water lines together, and you also want to make sure that the vent piping is correctly connected. It doesn't really matter which way they're going. I take that back. So I'm just going to finish this up for you guys. So now I'm at my first floor, so you can see the vent pipe is back over here, so I'm going to select that one. But this time we can just use the trim extend to the corner, select this one and select this one, and that vent pipe gets connected just like that. And we can do the same thing for the water lines. Select that one and that one. And that looks good. Now I need to turn the sanitary back on, so I'm going to click temporary hide isolate and reset it. And now everything has been connected, so hopefully this looks pretty good. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a riser diagram or isometric drawing for you guys, show you some tips for doing that. So I'm actually going to just orbit this a little bit real quick so you guys can really see everything. And what we can do is we can just go ahead and duplicate this view. So right now I have it as this 3D render view. So I'm just going to right click on it and we're just going to duplicate this view. And it still has all these crazy properties, so maybe I don't need all this fancy line work and stuff, so I can go ahead and modify this. Now you're going to want to set up a template or something for your riser diagrams, but for this we'll just start from scratch. So I'm going to temporarily just put this on a view template that I know is going to work. So I'm going to use a plumbing plan, or maybe I can use a plumbing, yeah, we'll use plumbing plan. And you can see that some of the stuff got rid of, like what the view types were. So now I can just remove that and we can kind of start over. So now if I hit none, I have full access to all these controls down here. So I can change the detail level, I can change if it's shaded or not, or something like that. So I actually like this. This looks pretty good, but I don't like the way my fixtures are displaying. But you know what I do like? I do like when you guys click that like button. What we're trying to do with these videos, I'm just trying to grow the community so that we can have more dialogue and people can really help each other when it comes to plumbing and Revit. So we all can kind of understand how this stuff gets constructed in the buildings and so forth. So if you click the little like button, it just helps the video spread to more people and we can grow our community faster. So I really appreciate that, guys. Now before we get to how we can display the fixtures in different ways, I need to make this a sanitary and vent riser only. I don't really need to show the water piping for this riser because I'm going to create a separate one for that. So to get only the vent and sanitary piping to show, we need to go to VV for Visibility Graphics. We're going to go to Filters, and I'm just going to add a filter. And the default plumbing template comes with these filters, but essentially what they do is are just going to select the sanitary and vent system. So I can click on sanitary, add another one, select the vent one, but the one that I really need to select is this domestic cold water. And hydronic, we can just remove that, we don't need it. So here's visibility of all these different systems. So if I don't want to show something, I can just uncheck visibility here and all the domestic cold water system piping will be removed. So I'm going to click apply and you'll see it just get removed in my view. And now it's gone. So that really is helpful when you guys are trying to do these risers, is if you keep things on the right systems, it'll make your life a lot easier. So we can just click OK. And this will be my sanitary and vent riser view template, so I can actually save this. So let's get back to doing this. So I want to make sure that the vent piping and sanitary piping are looking good. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. One thing I don't need is the levels, or maybe you guys do want to show the levels, but for this I'm actually going to just remove them. So I'm going to right click and we're just going to hide and view the category. And I also don't need to show any of the linked architecture, or I don't even need to show the linked model fixtures, because they're really not that important. So I'm going to actually just go to VV, Revit links, and I'm just going to uncheck those, and we're going to hit OK. And now you can see all the link geometry and stuff just got completely removed. So the only thing left for us to see is the MEP fixtures and our pieces of pipe, which is good. We can also get rid of this section box. I don't need to see it in this view, so I can right click and just hide the category. So that looks really good, guys. So I think this is looking good. Now you can definitely just show the fixtures just like this. But before we get into the fixtures, let's go ahead and start tagging some pipe. So I'm going to give you guys a couple tips on tagging pipe. So tagging pipe is pretty simple. All we have to do is zoom in on our model or a riser diagram and just go to annotate and tag by category. And as we hover over things, you can see stuff starts to get tagged. Now these are special tags that I created. Basically I just put the system name after the size, and you can download this tag at mepguide.com, but essentially we just start tagging our pieces of pipe. Now you'll notice that these tags are kind of big relative to the pipe, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have the right scale. So you can set it to anything you want, but let's just try a 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch equals a foot looks much nicer. Now you'll want to make sure that this whole thing fits on your page nicely, so that's where you're going to have to maybe mess around with the scale a little bit. But as you can see, things are looking pretty nice. So if I want to continue to use this tag, I can right click and say create similar, and I can just keep tagging my vents just like that. Now one thing I like to do to kind of keep things consistent, because what you'll notice is if you do things by eyeball, sometimes it won't be as clean and in the right spot. So a way to do that is if I just select the pieces of pipe that I want to tag. Maybe I want to tag all of these pieces right here. I'm just using Control to select all of them. And then I go to annotate, and I can use this tag all command. Now, it's not going to tag everything. It's only going to see this little box right here. It's only going to tag the selected objects that I have in the current view. So it's only going to select or tag the things that I just selected. Now we have to tell it what we want to use, which is pipe tags. And we don't need a leader. So I'm just going to hit apply. You don't need to hit apply every time, but then you can just hit OK. And what that does is it makes the tag exactly in the center of those pieces of pipe. So it just kind of helps you to make things a little cleaner. And then what I can also do is I can also select multiple pieces very quickly and tag this whole thing. But I don't want to go too much into tagging. I will leave that for my course. I'm going to do a complete chapter on isometric drawings and how some of the things I do for tagging, some of the things I do for displaying things correctly. One thing you'll notice is these little the fittings, they have the little marks on them. I mean, I don't really mind them, but if you guys do want to remove these marks, there are some ways to do that. Also, what you'll notice is I've already done this for you guys, but what you're going to see, and this is actually something I did previously, so let me undo that and show you guys what I'm talking about. So as I started this model, you would have seen these little increaser symbols right here. And those are not something that actually gets modeled in the real world. So let me actually turn on the fine level of detail, and we'll turn on our thin lines. Now this sanitary T is a 4x4, meaning that there's a 4-inch on this side and also a 4-inch on the T section. Now what a contractor will do is they will use a 4x2. So this piece right here is actually going to be 2-inch going into that pipe. But Revit doesn't know to do that, so it uses a regular fitting, but it has to use this little increaser right here. And so you'll see it up here, well, sorry, reducer. Okay, and that's why it shows that symbol, is because it's adding a reducer here. But what we can do is if we switch this to reducing T, so we'll go here to the drop down, and we have to download this T reducing sanitary fitting, and you can get it in your library. Look for this fitting right here. It's a PVC Schedule 40 DWV, or you can search for it on the Revit cloud library. But once I change it to that type of fitting, you'll see that it goes from that 4 to 2. And then when I turn on my detail level of medium, that reducer symbol is gone. So let's turn on our thick lines, and now it's gone. But I'd have to select all of those T's in my model to get rid of those symbols. So the way to do that is once we have that type of fitting loaded in, we just right click on our T. We're actually going to select all instances visible in this view, and this is going to take some time. So once we have all of those fittings selected, you can see them all in yellow down here. Now I'm just going to use the drop down, and I'm going to change them all to this T reducing sanitary standard. So that took about a minute, but as you can see that Revit did change all of those T's to the reducing type T's, and now we don't see those little increaser marks. So I just decided I would show you that little technique right there. So I'm going to deselect this. So the next thing I want to show you guys is how you can tag your fixtures. So all we have to do is, since we just need to tag all the fixtures, we can use the tag all command, and we'll go down to plumbing fixtures. We don't need to use the selected items because we only want to tag plumbing fixtures, and we're just going to click OK. And as you can see, nothing happened. If we zoom in, we can see this little box right here. And I don't really like this style of tag, so I'm going to click into that. And as you can see, there's two types here. There's this boxed and standard. I want to make it standard because I don't want that box around it. So if I want to change all of them, I can just click that box. Again, right click and say select all instances visible in view. And now they should all get selected, so we can just change all of them right here to standard. So you'll see these little question marks, and when the question marks come up, it means that this fixture has not been labeled for this tag. But if we want to label it just by, we can just click into this tag, click in, and we just can label this as WC-1 or anything we want. It's going to ask us we want to change this type parameter because it's going to change it for every single fixture that's a toilet or water closet. So I'm going to say yes. And that went ahead and updated all of our water closets, but we also need to do our urinals. So let's just do the same thing. This time I'm going to do it a different method. And I'm going to select the fixture itself. And I know that this tag is using the type mark just from experience. So I'm going to go ahead and hit edit type. And if we scroll down, we can see the type mark right here. There's nothing nothing added. So we're just going to make this UR-1. I'm going to hit apply. And essentially that's what this tag is reading. So now you can see that we can also change it in that location as well. So the way I like to move my tags is I like to select them and right click. Once I have them all created in my view, I can select all the instances visible in view. And now it selects all my plumbing fixture tags. And I can simply just maybe use the arrow keys. So I'm going to hold shift and go down, and it will jump my tag, and then I'm just going to hit the down button until I kind of get in the right spot. Now you can also use your left and right arrow keys to kind of position that, and I can also, if I want to, just drag all of them maybe to a spot right here. I just think dragging is not as clean, and you can't really control it as well, so I can also use the dragging button. So I just find the arrow keys work a little better, and they give me a little more control how things are looking and displaying. So I think something like that looks pretty good. So that's how you would do that. Now another thing people probably want to know is, how do I just get rid of this fixture altogether? Because maybe you don't want to show this complete fixture, you just want to show the pieces of pipe. Well, if I hit VV, the first thing you would think I want to do is just go down to plumbing fixtures. So let's just go there. And if I go to plumbing fixtures and I deselect plumbing fixtures and I hit apply, watch what happens. All my plumbing fixtures are gone, but I also have removed the tags. So that is not the way I want to do this. So what I'm going to do in the next video is I'm going to show you guys how to control the visibility of these plumbing fixtures and the tags, but I'm also going to show you guys how to create a little symbol in my plumbing fixture so I can use it for this riser diagram. So stay tuned for the next video, and I will show you guys how to do that. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.